Hello, my name is Ben.
And my name's Josh.
And welcome back to FPL Graduates and welcome back to another video. Game week 9 is just around the corner. We're going to be showing you our current teams at the moment and any changes that we're looking to make.
Okay, so we'll start off with my team going into game week 9 now. I got 55 points in game week 8, which does feel like an absolute while ago. Currently ranked at 210k in the world, so it's been a solid start to the season. It's now just about improving on that, consistent green arrows, and maintaining that rank as we progress through these upcoming game weeks. So yeah, we're going to start off with Onana in goal. Sheffield United away. I'd be really shocked if United do concede there. I know United have been poor defensively, but Sheffield United do pose absolutely almost zero attacking threat. So if he does concede, I'll be disappointed. It's been quite a disappointment owning him throughout the season anyway. So I wouldn't be too shocked. But yeah, a decent fixture this week for hopefully a clean sheet there. In the defence, we've got a back three of Adoji, Botman and Cash. Obviously, Botman is currently flagged. We'll probably hear more about that on Friday. We're recording this Thursday night as a team reveal. So hopefully he's back in the squad. If not, then I'll have to focus my free transfer around there, but we'll come to that when I talk about my bench as well. Adoji, Fulham at home is a decent fixture. Spurs, obviously top of the league, playing really good stuff, and he's been a good part of that as well. Same with Matty Cash, Aston Villa doing really well. West Ham at home is not the best fixture for a defensive asset, but we've seen this season that he loves getting forward and a lot of attack and returns come through him for Aston Villa. What's your thoughts on that back four as a sort of a basis for this team, Ben?
Yeah, it looks very solid and good to go, to be honest. The home fixtures look quite nice for a lot of these players this week. And Onana, obviously, there's that running risk with him this season. It's a tough decision to make if you own Onana whether to start him this week because there are a lot of decent home fixtures for other teams this week. Hopefully, Botman's back fit. Crystal Palace have lost so many players in attacking areas, so I'd almost like to think that Newcastle should keep a clean sheet against Palace at home. Obviously, you know the injuries that they've had, you can't expect them going forwards to cause Newcastle too many troubles. And yeah, like I said, there's some decent chance of clean sheets in all four of these players here.
Yeah, 100%. And then moving into the midfield, a five-man midfield. There's a few players in here that probably a lot of managers would be looking to get rid of. Two of them being Bruno and Sterling at the moment. Obviously, Sterling last week came off that monster haul against Burnley, sort of what owners have been waiting for since that Luton haul. He's just blanked every game since that, other than the Burnley game. So Arsenal at home, if you had to keep him, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing because if Chelsea score, it's usually through him in some form or another. But I think for me, if Botman is fit this week, he'll be the guy that I'll look to offload just because the fixtures going forward for the likes of Liverpool and Villa really, really good. So I want to try and hop on attackers from those teams. I'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. And then Bruno, Sheffield United away. I just think he's probably going to be a hold for me until I wildcard, unless there's someone that really grabs my attention and that I want. Just because United's fixtures are pretty good. They face Sheffield United this week. They've got the derby at home the week following, which is obviously not a good fixture for United. But then after that, they then go on another good run of green fixtures. And for me, I would probably look to wildcard definitely after game week 10, maybe even into game week 12 or later. I just don't see there's much point in wildcarding my team at the moment. I've got a lot of the players that everyone else is looking to get, as we'll discuss a little bit further on. Salah, Everton at home. A lot of people looking to potentially change their captain from Haaland to Son or Salah. For me, obviously, I've not done that. Everton at home is a good fixture, but I think Everton do tend to show up for these Merseyside derbies. Not the same Everton team that you'll face any other week. So for me, I'm just going to play it safe with Haaland this week. Gordon's back from his suspension, which is ideal for me. Palace, though, defensively have been the best team technically this season with the most clean sheets so far this season. And then Heung-min Son for them at home, obviously been flitting in and out of the Korean team with a potential injury. I think he should be okay for the weekend, but obviously we'll hear more about that in Friday's press conferences. Ben, is there anywhere that you look there and think I need to take that player out right now?
The only one that you'd possibly make a case for here is Raheem Sterling, just because the fixture's tough. Chelsea haven't looked great going forward so far this season. There's been a couple of games where they've shown otherwise, but I think there's options around that price point, especially that you could get value out of, even if it's for a 2 or 3 game week punt. If you're thinking of wildcarding within the next 2 or 3 game weeks, so there's only that one there that I look to bring out. Obviously, Bruno is a tough keep, but he is a keep nonetheless, just because of the fixtures and his attacking numbers haven't dipped. In terms of his specific output as an individual, it's just that around him it hasn't been great, so he hasn't been getting the returns that we could have seen from Bruno. So for me, it's only a move for Sterling out, and that's if Botman's fit as well.
Yeah, 100%. And then the front two, I've alluded to, obviously, Haaland on the captaincy. Brighton at home, for me, is a green fixture in terms of an attack against Brighton. They conceded a lot of goals, yet to keep a clean sheet so far this season. So Haaland there, Brighton at home. I know Man City have not been firing. Obviously, they lost to Wolves, lost to Arsenal just before the international break, but I think they'll come back firing. Alvarez as well, even throughout that poor period, he's been returning and probably maybe even a better asset than Erling Haaland, dare I say this, so far this season. I think he's been really good, and I've got no real reason to sell him. I know a lot of people looking towards Ollie Watkins with Villa's run, but I will try and cover that off with potentially Moussa Diaby in for Sterling, is my thoughts. What's your thoughts, Ben, on that 11? And do you think maybe if say Botman is fit and Diaby in for Sterling, is that a good move?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't have any issues with that at all. When you sort of place yourself in a position where bringing in Diaby doesn't it solidifies the lack of need to wildcard that team then. So you're sort of leaving yourself in a decent position. I mean, to have all your outfield players bar one having home fixtures is decent to begin with. So I don't mind that at all. The captaincy, in my opinion, is right. I think there's an element of risk with both Salah and Son. So I think going with Haaland's the sensible pick there.
Yeah, and then just talking about our bench a little for a second. Sorry, Areola, Villa away. Villa teams tend to score a lot of goals so far this season, is what we've seen. So for me, Onana over him is a bit of a no-brainer, despite United being poor defensively. United have got a few defenders back for this weekend. I think Reguilon's back, Varane is back. They are missing Casemiro, but Amrabat should be in the team, so he'll be able to be a direct replacement for Casemiro rather than, say, Scott McTominay playing there, as we've seen in seasons gone by. Colwill, Arsenal at home. Again, obviously, I'm not going to look to start him. It's a bit of a toss-up because if Botman is out, then I might have to look to make a defensive transfer because I don't really fancy playing Colwill against Arsenal at home. And Chelsea's fixtures over the next 6 are pretty terrible. They're facing some of the toughest opposition in the league. Kabore is obviously there, and same with Mubama sort of making up the numbers. Kabore was benched in the last game week. So, that is the bench. If you were in my position, Ben, you were in my boots, who would you be looking to transfer out and who would you looking to bring in?
Again, I'm thinking on similar lines to you, probably Sterling out, and then Diaby in. You could even sort of look ahead if you're looking ahead a couple of weeks, maybe Mitoma for Brighton's fixture swing as well. So there's a couple of options there, but don't disagree with you there with your sentiment of sort of waiting on Botman news and then potentially pulling the trigger on getting Sterling out. Okay, and so moving on into my team, as you can see, my keeper is currently different to Josh's. I've opted at this current moment in time to start Turner over Onana. I've just gone for that because of the home away thing. I've gone for the home keeper and backed him against Luton. It's a toss up between the two. I'm really split on my decision with that. I know sort of a lot of managers have sort of asked me, Ben, what are you doing with the keeper situation this week? I think Turner at the moment is in, but I could be convinced otherwise by Onana, just because, like Josh said, the attack for Sheffield United isn't great, whereas Luton have shown a bit more, at least going forward. And we know Forest this season so far at home have conceded goals, and they've conceded the goals first. So it's one that could potentially change come the deadline. The back four, again, is all players that are playing at home. We've got Matty Cash, who I brought in last week. West Ham at home. I'm fairly confident on that fixture. I'm also fairly confident on the Newcastle double up if Botman is fit. I'm hoping he is as well. Fabian Schär in there as well. And Pedro Porro has been unlucky last game week not to get an attacking return at least. And I think his stats are fantastic. They're really, really decent and probably one of the best in the league right now for the past 2 or 3 fixtures. And I fully back him to get some sort of return against Fulham. Whether it's an attacking one is what I'm hoping for. But Josh, that's how the back four is looking. And sorry, the back five with Turner. What are your initial thoughts on the keeper situation and then the back four as well?
Yeah, your decision in goal is a lot more difficult than mine. I think the fixtures there relatively similar with the home and away sort of difficulty there. Obviously, Sheffield United as an away fixture is a tough fixture in terms of the crowd and things like that. You got to bear in mind if you believe in superstitional things like that. But yeah, it is a difficult one. Like you say, it's a bit of a coin toss. It's just who you think is obviously more likely to keep clean sheet. So for me, if I was in this scenario, I'd probably check maybe clean sheet odds or something like that, and then maybe just base my decision off of that. In those sort of 50-50 scenarios, you sort of just got to use some form of way to make those decisions. It could be a toss of a coin if you really wanted to, but
I think, to be honest, yeah, with this decision, it's going to be a case of both these keepers this week. I either anticipate they'll either get 2 points or 6 points. I don't think there's a real high ceiling for either of these keepers this week, which sort of lessens the burden and the pressure of the decision because realistically there's 4 points in it. So whatever one I pick is going to get 2 points. The other one's going to get 6. We know that from the start. Let's just move quickly on into the midfield. So this is how the midfield is looking. We've got Bruno Fernandes, Sheffield United away. And like I said on Josh's team, Bruno's attacking numbers haven't dipped, and they're actually probably the best going forwards, attacking wise, that they've been throughout his career, really. It's just the returns haven't been apparent or nearly as apparent as they should be. Over the international break, he was fairly successful as well, a couple of assists and a goal in there. So fairly decent international break for Portugal. Bruno. Rashford also had a pretty decent international break. He scored a goal. And yeah, like the fixture is too good to drop them out. So I've really got to play them and hold on to them for one more week. The plan for me is to wildcard probably in game week 10, so next week. So it's likely that when the deadline hits and when the game updates by Saturday evening, I may have already hit that wildcard button. James Maddison in there as well. Fulham at home. It's coming towards the end of that really nice fixture run for Spurs. So it's potentially looking at sort of offloading them from game week 10 onwards. It's a high possibility that I keep one of these Spurs boys in there, but I'm maybe not looking at doubling or maybe even a triple up on them at the moment. And then Bukayo Saka in there as well. Similar situation here for Saka as it is with Sterling with Josh. Like if Saka is injured, I may be inclined just to move him out for 1 week whilst he's injured before wildcarding him straight back in. I know he's dropped in price. So it might be worth for myself to look at that and basically base my transfers on potential injury news that we get today, and yeah, go from there. So Josh, that's the midfield. Initial thoughts. It's a difficult one with a double up on United, but overall, should that be strong enough to get me through this week?
Yeah, like if you could cherry pick a fixture, Sheffield United is going to be one of those teams that you sort of choose. It is disappointing with Rashford and Fernandes. Like for United, they've just not been clicking too well, especially Rashford. Rashford's looked a shell of the player that he was last season for United so far. So maybe that international break in goal gives him a bit of confidence, hopefully going into what is a decent run for United. After, like I said, barring that City game. Saka's an interesting one for me, as when I sold him, he's not caused me too much damage. He only scored that 1 goal against Bournemouth, and then obviously he was injured last week. I'd expect him to probably make it back for this Chelsea away fixture. Obviously, we don't know yet for certain, but I think he should probably be back for that. Chelsea, though, defensively have actually been really solid so far this season. So it'll be interesting to see how that game goes. I think Chelsea could cause Arsenal problems equally as well. But yeah, I think that if obviously, like we say, if Botman is fit, I think moving Saka on, even if he is fit, Chelsea away is not necessarily an easy fixture. You could 1 week punt on pretty much anyone you fancy for that position.
Okay, and then I'm going to show you my strike force and my bench at the same time because the strike force is the same, Alvarez and Haaland on the captaincy. Brighton's defensive numbers have not been great, and I think Manchester City are going to capitalise on that. But equally, on the bench, Manchester City defensive numbers haven't been too great either. Ruben Diaz is taking a spot on the bench with Mitoma. Obviously, we know Mitoma missed out on the international break. There may be he may miss out this week, but I really highly doubt it because he's really important to this Brighton team. But I've benched him anyway because Manchester City is going to be a tough fixture, even for Brighton to score in. So I'm basically just taking myself out of the pain of Mitoma blanking and Manchester City conceding. So I've gone with that. And of course, Onana's currently on the bench, but that could change by the deadline. Just not sure on it yet. Josh, thoughts on the strike force and then the bench that is quite a bit of money on at the moment.
Yeah, some good funds on there, but I think you're making the right decision in benching both. It's a bit of again, like a 50-50 call whether City keep clean sheet or whether Matona even returns. Obviously, we've seen so much rotation from De Zerbi. It's not even a dead cert that Matoma starts anyway. So yeah, I think that's the smart decision. And like you said, Onana, Turner is just a whole huge 50-50. That wraps up our Game Week 9 team reveals. Obviously, if you want to know our locked-in teams, make sure you check out the Patreon down below in the description where we release our teams prior to the deadline, locked in, captaincy choices, help with your guys' team, the lot. So check it out.
Yeah, and as always, if you like the video, remember to give it a big old thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the FPL Graduates YouTube channel. And as always, I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And we'll see you guys
later. Have a good game week, everyone.